This is Interstate Highway H-3, a beautiful 25-ish minute drive, provided you don't have the countless people who fought it on legal, environmental, and spiritual grounds in your ear telling you it sucks. It's just 16.1 miles, or about 26 kilometers long, but it still managed to be the most controversial and expensive highway in US history. Its $80 million per mile price tag was over 5 times what was planned and 10 times the current national average. It also took 37 years to build, meaning that they built less than half a mile a year on average, quite literally slower than a snail's pace, assuming no naps. Again, this cost $1.3 billion without adjusting for inflation. Where did all the dang money go? Short answer, here. Long answer, forthcoming. The story of H-3 begins in 1959, the year of Hawaiian statehood, and, per Don McLean, the music dying. The Federal Highway Act of that year directed the government to explore potential interstate routes for the new states of Hawaii and Alaska. They looked for routes that would be in the interest of national defense, connect centers of population or industry, serve a large number of people, or serve a valuable industry like fishing, agriculture, mining, or forestry. Based on these criteria, they recommended a total of 50 miles of interstate in Hawaii and recommended Alaska kick rocks. The next year, the Bureau of Public Roads designated 3 routes in Hawaii: H1, H2, and, if you can believe it, H3. They're all, among other things, defense roads. H1 connects the Hawaii National Guard near Diamond Head State Park to the Barbers Point Air Station via Honolulu. H2 connects the Hickam Air Force Base and Wheeler Airfield to both H1 and Pearl Harbor, and H3 joins Pearl Harbor to the Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station. H3 would trek a similar path through this, the Ko'olau mountain range, as the already existing Likelike and Pali highways, which had been operating at capacity. The intention was that this highway would cost $250 million, with the federal government putting up 90% of the planning and construction funds, and Hawaii paying the rest. Immediately, it was met with opposition. Tons of people, from archaeologists to indigenous Hawaiian leaders to environmentalists to banana farmers and more, took issue. For starters, building the highway was going to destroy tons of forest, habitats for native birds, sacred sites like temples and burial mounds, and a lot of banana farming land. Bad news for bird-watching banana farmers who like going to temples. Also, even though Hawaii was only on the hook for 10% of the cost, critics argued that the money, still tens of millions of dollars, would be better spent on education, social services, or even mass transit across the mountains. All these concerns and more resulted in lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, which led to injunction after injunction after injunction to stop the project. A lot of these lawsuits had to do with 1970's National Environmental Policy Act, which, among other things, mandated environmental impact studies for projects like this. The studies done on H3, if printed out, would stack 4 feet high, arguably demanding an environmental impact study of their own. Thanks to environmental, permitting, and historical landmark lawsuits, H3 got rerouted a valley east of the original plan and stalled for years. Eventually, the federal government gave Hawaii an ultimatum. By September of 1986, Hawaii either had to reallocate the $716 million the feds were now putting up for H3 or commit to finishing it, with the caveat that if lawsuits killed the project, they'd have to give all the money back. Hawaiian Senator and H3 fanboy Daniel K. Inouye then got Congress to slip a cheeky exemption into a defense budget bill saying, basically, most environmental laws don't apply to H3. In almost no time, the federal district court dismissed all the relevant lawsuits and injunctions in 1987, and it was smooth sailing. Well, it was a wildly difficult engineering and construction project that took another 10 years and a total of $1.3 billion to build. Bring up the pie! This slice went to inspections, tests, contingencies, that kind of thing. The rest went to contractors for various parts of the road. These guys built the interchange to connect H3 with the Likelike Highway, these guys got $2 million to make an access road by the jail, and these guys got $10 million to relocate an animal quarantine station the highway was going through, and a bunch more to do a couple cut-and-cover tunnels, an access road, some bridges, and more. But the biggest, most expensive parts of H3 are the viaducts in the valley and these 2 long, honkin' tunnels. The section of viaduct on the windward side between the little cut-and-cover tunnels and the big boy tunnels is just a mile long, but it was built under a $136 million contract. The road there is built on top of 23 sets of piers, the shortest of which is 12 feet, about 4 meters tall, and the tallest of which is 160 feet, almost 50 meters tall. The goal was to minimize trouble to the forest by building the road above it, with long spans between piers, 240 to 300 feet, or 75 to 90 meters. Viaducts on the other side of the tunnels, leading toward towards Honolulu were built on a $141 million contract, with $6 million of extra costs added when they realized they'd have to work around boulders larger than originally anticipated. That side features a total of 36 piers ranging 27 to 105 feet in height, aka all the Spice Girls stacked up to the Golden State Warriors' current roster stacked up. They're tall, is the point. The height is to minimize force disturbance, while the curvy shape is to beat the eyesore allegations, which may seem a bit silly, but imagine how ugly this thing would be straight. The viaducts lead to a pair of fraternal twin tunnels, each of which carries one direction of H-3's traffic through the mountains. These were built under 6 separate contracts, one for each tunnel, which was built by different contractors, one for ventilation, one for control and support systems, one for finishing touches, and one for the $12 million exploratory tunnel they dug a mile into the mountains to vibe check before doing the main ones. I guess every industry has its version of the first pancake. As for the actual tunnels, they were dug using the drill and blast method, which diehard HI fans will know is also the name of my forthcoming album. The tunnel entrance on the leeward side stands 1,385 feet above sea level, most of an Empire State Building, while the entrance on the windward side is 840 feet above sea level, less of an Empire State Building. On the taller side, a control building handles their message signs, houses an emergency generator, CCTV, fire alarms, that kind of stuff. Inside, the tunnel is coated with a waterproof membrane and has a false ceiling. Above that, it's divided into 2 sections, one for taking in yucky exhaust air so they can push it out, another for bringing in delicious fresh air, all aided by big fans. That ventilation system, along with controls for their lighting, water and power supply, comms equipment, emergency vehicles, and more, all live in 4-level concrete buildings at either end of the tunnels. After all that building, and over 37 years after H-3 was initially planned, opening day arrived on December 12, 1997. The Nation of Ku, an indigenous Hawaiian group that had opposed the highway and expected it might be cursed, performed a traditional chant called an oli to make peace between the highway and its ops. And despite all that happened before, the highway opened to its first riders 30 minutes earlier than planned. As of 2021, the stretch of H-3 around Exit 11 was seeing about 36,800 vehicles per day. Not quite the 120,000 projected to use the road by 2010, around the time it opened, but still a bunch, I guess. Today, the highway still has its controversies, complaints that it's ugly, marring sacred land, and/or contributing to unwanted urbanization on the windward side of the island, but it's a pretty good place to listen to my album. So there's that. Now, building a highway across the Ko'olau Mountains is complicated, and some people will be mad you did it. But not everything's like that. Some things are straightforward and popular, like this video's sponsor, Factor. Do you like dinner? Of course. Do you like deciding what to make for dinner, going to the grocery store, cooking, cleaning, rinsing, and repeating every day of your life, even when you're busy and tired and this close to ordering $30 worth of takeout just to avoid washing a frying pan? Maybe not. That's where Factor comes in. They take all the hassle out of eating a healthy meal at home, delivering pre-made, never frozen meals right to your door. Choose from over 35 options per week, throw them in the fridge, and when you're hungry, you're just 2 microwaved minutes away from a delicious, effortless meal like this, or that, or these. I've been a real customer of Factor and their parent company HelloFresh for years, in no small part because they make it possible to fit eating well at home into even my most hectic weeks. So if that sounds good to you, why not give them a try? Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50HAI to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box.